Welcome to the Southern California Prep Insider Podcast. My name is Tommy Morris. If you don't know us, we'll be here all year, all football season long, bringing you stories from all across the Southern section. Again, I am Tommy Morris. I'll be joined by Shotgun Spratling, Connor Morissette, Beverly Pham, and Jessica Lucero. They are out in the field, getting into some of the teams that we're going to see throughout the season. We will start with Shotgun. We now welcome in Shotgun Spratling. He will be here throughout the whole entire season, giving us his top 10 teams in the Southern section, as well as some game picks. We'll get to the whole game pick thing. We'll explain that later. But Shotgun, for right now, pressing issue, top 10 teams in the Southern section.
You know, it's going to be interesting this year. You know there's some teams at the top that you really are confident in. That back five of the top 10, though, there's going to be some movement, especially early in the season. But our preseason top 10, on my preseason top 10, I'm starting with Westlake at number 10. Got some transfers in, some good players on that team. Super versatile. DeGabriel Floyd comes in. Really excited about seeing him there. Number 9, Jay Serra. A team that's on the rise under Coach Matt Harlow. His second season there, I think they'll be really good. 8, Upland. A lot of talent in the Inland Empire. Number 7, Cajon. You got Jaden Daniels throwing to 6'9", Darren Jones. I mean, that's just a unique combination there. Jaden Daniels threw for over 5,000 yards and 62 touchdowns last year. I expect even more of it this year. Number 6, Centennial. Always, a consistent, high-powered offense. But they don't have Tanner McKee at quarterback, and they struggled last year without him. How do they kind of reload? They got Gary Bryan on the outside at wide receiver. I'm really excited about him as a small guy that can do a lot of things for them.
And I'll stop you there. I'll give you the Southern California Prep Insider 10 through 6. At number 10, we got Long Beach Poly, storied program, always a good team there. Excited to see the Jackrabbits this season. Number 9, we have Murrieta Valley. Jessica Lucero will be checking in with us shortly from there. Hank Bachmeyer, quarterback, going to Boise State. Good, exciting player to watch out there. Got to go a little further east, though, to get out there. Number 8, we have Cajon. Taj Davis, wide receiver, going to Washington. An exciting player for them. 7, Cajon. You mentioned already Jaden Daniels. I'm just going to say the number, exactly how many it is, because it is so impressive. 5,139 yards in a season. Crazy. Kid, I want to mention, too, Jonathan Perkins. He's an outside linebacker for them going to Oklahoma. We don't mention the defense enough because, with the crazy offensive numbers, we don't. We got to mention the linebackers when we can. Number 6, we've got Oaks Christian. So, Shotgun, hit us with 5 through 1.
5 through 1. I'm going to start with Oaks Christian there at number 5. Ton of talent, including Kayvon Thibodeau, one of the top players in the country. Also, Zach Charbonnet, the running back who's committed to Michigan. There's some quality players on there. We'll see what they do with the quarterback position. That was kind of the concern last year. Josh Calvert kind of filling in there. He's a dynamic linebacker, safety for them as well. So does he have to play the quarterback position for him as well? We'll see. Mission Viejo at number 4. They lose some talent. Elijah Griffin, Warren G's son, obviously at USC now. But they got some guys back. Jamari Farrell returns. He was their running back, was off to a great start last year and got injured. So what they did was they moved Achille Arnold there to running back. He had a really good finish to the season. Well, they're going to move him to slot wide receiver this year. They've got another wide receiver that came on, had a really big summer in JoJo Forrest. He looks like a two-way player to watch. And then obviously at the leading the team, Joey Yellen, the Arizona State quarterback commit, originally from Bosco. He led them last year. I think they got a good chance to have success again. Number 3, I got Orange Lutheran. Ryan Helinski just looks like a different dude this year. He put on some weight. He's committed to South Carolina now, but he's got everybody calling and asking if they can get him out of that commitment because he has been on fire this offseason. And he's got weapons all around him. Kyle Ford was the best player at the opening, which is the best of the best in the country, and he went out there and dominated. He had something like 90 catches in the 7-on-7 tournament, and the next closest guy had like 30 less than him. He was unbelievable. One of the best performances they said they've ever seen at the opening. Kyle Ford, I think he's going to have a monster year in the Trinity League. And you can't double him. Well, you can, but if you double him, there's so many other targets. Logan Loya, the slot receiver, I love the kid. Absolutely love him. I think he should be recruited by every top program in the nation. Just because he's a smaller white dude is maybe why he's not. He has been phenomenal for them. He runs tremendous routes. And they have 2 tight ends. Ethan Reyes back healthy. He missed last year with a knee injury. He's back healthy. USC commit. And then Cal's tight end commit, Elijah Moraro. I think those 2 guys, allow you to run the ball as well, but, give you those different options. that Orange Lutheran team is going to be really good, and they might, put some pressure on St. John Bosco and Mater Dei are my number 1 and number 2 teams. At number 2, I've got St. John Bosco. They lost some big-time safeties, and Stephen Blaylock and Jaden Woodby at the back of that defense. I'm a little concerned about that. You do have Chris Steele at cornerback. He has to be a top-tier guy, the USC commit. And then on the offensive side, lose a little bit, but you got DJ Uwalele. He has a huge arm, huge arm. I've heard he's been up to 95 miles an hour on the pitcher's mound as a baseball player. Hasn't played baseball. He will this spring. He could be a first-round draft pick in multiple sports eventually. He took over at midseason kind of for them and kind of turned their season around after struggling a little bit early in the season last year. And they have a new $7.2 million stadium. So St. John Bosco is going to want to put some big-time performances up to show out in the new stadium. So I got them number 2, though. Can they knock off the number 1 team, Mater Dei, who lost some absolutely phenomenal players? JT Daniels, they lose him, a 5-star quarterback. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 5-star wide receiver. Solomon Tulipupu, 5-star linebacker. You know what they do? They just reload. They get Bryce Young, quarterback transfer from Cathedral. He's one of the top 2020 quarterbacks. He's going to be really good. They get a top running back in Sean Dollars. They get Jeremiah Cradell, both those guys from Rancho Cucamonga. They get Braden Huffman-Dixon coming in. They got others. One of the question marks I do have with that group is how would the offensive line be? They lost some. I think 4 of their guys were seniors. But they do have a stud, Miles Morale. He is one of the best linemen I've seen in his class. So we'll see how that offensive line group kind of gels. They've got some talent there, but those guys have to work together. And you got Brew McCoy, 5-star wide receiver / outside linebacker. It's time for him to kind of take his place in Mater Dei history, I think. I think he's in line for a really big season. They got a great D-line with Oregon State commit. I'm blanking on the name now, but they have him, an Oregon State commit and an Oregon commit on the defensive line. Keon Ware-Hudson going to Oregon. And then Mace Funa, who was their best linebacker last year. He has an ankle injury, I believe it is, or a knee injury from playing rugby. So we'll see when does he return and how does he return. They were able to use him in some different ways last year, and he was really good coming off the edge in particular. So when does he return, and how quickly can he get back up to that same level he was at?
Yeah, one thing's for sure, that Bosco Mater Dei game, that'll be basically like a whole bunch of players who are going to play in college next year. It's basically like a pre-college game for that game.
It is ridiculous how many players are on both those teams that are already committed or will be committing. There are 3, 4, 5-star guys. There's just so much talent in those 2 teams. But watch out for that Orange Lutheran team. If they can play enough defense, that offense is going to put up enough points to compete with those other 2 teams.
And here's the Southern California Prep Insider top 5, I guess. 5, Centennial. 4, Mission Viejo. 3 is Orange Lutheran. No surprise there. 2 is Bosco. You mentioned Chris Steele, but I also want to mention Trent McDuffie because he's the other corner who's also highly recruited. Titus Toller, safety, going to Colorado. Then you've also got Jake Bailey, who can play in the secondary as well. So they could potentially have 4 secondary guys who are going to Division I. Jude Wolf, the tight end, is going to go to USC as well. Wide receiver Colby Bowman going to go to Stanford. So I think we mentioned every kid on both teams now. So I'm going to get to number 1 team Mater Dei. I feel like I don't have to mention anything anymore. I think we pretty much went through the whole roster there for both those squads. Either way, hey, they're both good.
Ton of talent.
But hey, you got to play the game still.
There's just so much talent on both sides. It should be fun to watch. You mentioned Trent McDuffie. He's transferring over from Servite to Bosco, and could be a 2-way guy for them as well. They've got a ton of talent on both sides, but when you get those transfers, which both those schools have been, because they've been so good, other players want to play with the best players. You got to get them to work together. You got to get them to gel, and especially early in the year, that can be troublesome with the really tough schedules that both of those teams always play. So we'll see how they kind of react early in the season. Whereas that Orange Lutheran team has a lot of guys back, especially on that offensive side that have played together for a couple years now.
All right. So are there any other teams that maybe aren't in your top 10 or players you want to mention?
Yeah, definitely. There's some teams that I've been looking at, that maybe things go right. If they gel. Look at Gardena Serra. They have a ton of younger talent, skill player talent. How the lines, I'm not sure, but you have cornerback Max Williams is going to be a stud for them. Linebacker Justin Houston, younger brother of USC's John Houston, who I think will have a big year this year. They have a young quarterback in Doug Brumfield, a lefty. How does he develop this season? And that could be kind of determine how their season goes, because he's got a couple of nice targets on the outside in LV Monkley and Melquan Stovall. I think they're a team that could do well, but they have to get some play in the trenches to show that they're going to be a contender to move up in that top 10. Calabasas, basically the same thing. You got Jaden Casey, Fresno State QB commit, throwing to Johnny Wilson, who's one of the best in the 2020 class, and Micah Pittman, who's committed to Oregon. They put up a ton of yards and ton of offense last year, but they were winning games 60-58. So, can they play a little bit more defense this year? And how do they kind of react? Because, Casey Clausen, the head coach, had left to go to his alma mater, Bishop Alemany, and that's a team I'm also looking at is Bishop Alemany, how they kind of gel under and how they kind of progress under Casey Clausen. Their quarterbacks both transferred out. And Miller Moss, a 2021 quarterback, young kid, is a guy who actually caught my eye at a camp earlier this year. I just watching him, I was like, wow, that ball, he's just flicking off the fingertips, coming out really nice, perfect spiral almost every time. He's a guy that I'll be following the next couple of years, and I'll be seeing how that team progresses under Casey Clausen. They've got some other pieces, but that's a team I'm going to be watching to see how things go forward for them. Corona Del Mar, they have a junior trio of quarterback Ethan Garbers, younger brother of Chase Garbers, who's at Cal as a quarterback. They have wide receiver John Humphreys, who absolutely lit it up at a camp I was at earlier this summer. Was just tremendous. Everybody was like, who is that guy? Where did he come from? Just catching everything, making DBs look bad. And then also tied in Mark Redmond. That's a good core to that offense. And I expect them to win the Sunset League there. But that's a team that could be on the brink of moving into the top 10 if a couple teams lose. And then Chaminade, they're traditionally a pretty good team. They have third-year starting quarterback Ryan Stevens. You don't see that very often, a third-year starting quarterback. And then DB Chris Rankins and linebacker Blake Antazulatas. I think I got
Hey, better you say it than me. Don't worry.
He's committed to California, and I've liked him in a couple of camps. I've seen him as well. Chaminade's got some pieces. Can they put it together without the big offensive weapons? Their running back went to Boise State, Andrew Van Buren. Their wide receiver, Michael Wilson, went to Stanford. Do they have some guys that will step in there? So those are some teams I'm going to be looking at. They're kind of on the outside right now, but I'll be keeping an eye on.
All right, Chalk, and thank you very much. And as I mentioned, next week is what starts.
Well, what about the top players? You didn't even let me get to those guys.
Oh, I'm sorry. I rushed. I got too excited to talk about predictions. Go. Top players, go.
Couple of top players just on teams outside the top 25. You mentioned Hank Bank Bachmeyer. He threw for 42 touchdowns last year, but he doesn't have his top receiver back. We'll see how he does. A couple of offensive linemen that have stood out in the summer camps and stuff. Jason Rodriguez at USC has really put on USC commits, really put on some weight for Oak Hills. Sean Ryan as well from San Juan Hills doesn't do a lot of camps, but he looks really good with a couple things we've seen him at. La Habra's DB/wide receiver, Mr. Pick Six, Clark Phillips III. He got that nickname after taking back 2 pick sixes to the house in a game last year. Another DB, Chris Adamora at Mayfair, who's committed to Texas. I'm looking at a couple quarterbacks that haven't seen too much, but I want to see a little bit more of. Purdue quarterback commit Paul Piferi from Villa Park, and he's going to have a nice target in Dylan Bonilla to throw to. San Clemente's Brandon Costello is committed to Oklahoma State, another guy to watch. And there's Blaze McKibben, who transferred from Sarah to Servite. How does he do in the Trinity League this year? He's a big frame quarterback. Wide receiver Drake London from Moore Park just absolutely dominated one event I was at this summer. And I want to see if he can do it with the pads on. He's a big physical guy. I think he will be able to. He absolutely dominated without the pads on. I think he'll do the same when he puts them on. Grace Brethren has a linebacker, Stanley Tafua, who's committed to USC that I want to see a little bit more of. Lawndale running back Jordan Wilmore. He's only 5'8", 5'9". He ran for more than 4,500 yards, 55 touchdowns in the last couple of years. And another running back I'm interested to see is Javon Wilson, committed to Oregon. He's a two-way guy, running back DB out of Valencia. But I'm interested to see how he does, this season.
Yeah, Blaze McKibben, you name your kid Blaze, he better be good at sports. And fortunately he is. So, Shotgun, I jumped the gun. I'm sorry. Next week, guess what happens?
Predictions?
Predictions are back, and I'm sure no one will have anything to say on Twitter about the teams we pick or who we select for what reason. Shotgun, thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Now over to Culver City, where Connor's getting to know the Senators.
Thank you, Tommy. Expectations are sky high for Culver City football this season. The Centaurs moved up into Division 7, and they begin the year on August 24th against West Torrance on the road. Led by senior wide receiver Jamal Glaspie and junior cornerback Kyrie Crump, Culver City feels like they have a lot to prove. Earlier today at practice, I caught up with wide receiver and Idaho commit Kevin McGuire. He previewed the season with me, and he also filled me in on the new luxurious piece of jewelry that the Culver City coaching staff invested in this offseason to hype up the team. You got this beautiful turnover chain on your neck right now. I know you're a wide receiver for Culver City, but this is brand new for you guys. Is it motivating the defense?
Yep, definitely. I think it's going to motivate the defense to make more, bigger, better plays for us, and we should be way more intense on defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And just having that, I saw on Facebook you guys kind of want to be like the Miami of the West Coast a little bit. So what does that mean to you?
It means a lot. Miami is a big deal in the college football, so just having a trademark of theirs is just big for us.
In a few weeks, you open up against West Torrance. How have you been working to get ready for that game?
We've worked hard. We're ready. I think we're ready. We're going to continue to keep getting ready, and we're ready. We'll be ready for them.
Coach Wright, he's done an excellent job these past few years for you guys. How do you like working for him and his staff?
I love it here. The coaching staff, I love the coaches. They're more than just coaches. They're role models. They're father figures, and they just help. They're not only just coaches to us. Like they mean a lot to us, and they're more than just coaches.
What can we expect from Culver City this year? How are you guys going to play?
I think we're gonna do good. We're gonna try to put our name out there a little bit more. We put our name out there last year, making it to the semifinals. But I think we'll even put it out even more this year and make a bigger impact.
You're a big-time receiver for this team. Who are some other guys that need to get recognized who are playing really well for you this offseason?
We have a lot of guys that need to get recognized. We have a lot of guys that make big plays. Jamal Glaspie's one. Young quarterback Zevi. Young corner Kyrie Crump. Guys that just moved over here, Dominic, Tatum, Jamal. Young guys like Chris Miller, receiver. Other guys on defense, Cortez, linebackers. We have a lot of guys that deserve to be recognized and work hard. And I think a lot of guys do deserve to be recognized.
And then, Kevin, the last question for you. What are your expectations for this season? What do you want to accomplish?
I want to get that ring. I want to get that state. So we're just going to work, take one game at a time, every week, every practice, work hard, and just take it day by day and can't wait for December football.
That's Kevin McGuire, a wide receiver out here for Culver City. Kevin, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, city on three, city on me. 1, 2, 3. Kevin McGuire.
So there's your Culver City football update. Here in the northern part of the southern section, though, there are so many good teams. Oaks Christian is in our southern section top 10 at number 6, I believe. I expect big things from Calabasas, from Westlake, from Sierra Canyon. Whole host of really talented teams up here who I'm very excited to cover. Quickly now, I want to move on to some players who have really impressed me this summer in this coverage zone. I've been really impressed with Bengal Branson, the Newbury Park quarterback. He's going to be a junior, already committed to Cal. The fact that he hasn't even taken a varsity snap and he's committed there should tell you all you need to know about him. Also on offense over at Sarah, LV Bunkley Shelton has had a great offseason. I was really impressed with him at the Battle of the Beach. He's been great in practice. He's been great at 7-on-7s. I expect a big-time season from him. And then Ben Seymour up in Valencia, defensive lineman, linebacker, hybrid kind of player. He's been great this offseason, and he was fantastic a year ago. So I think he is going to be another impact player for Valencia. They move up into Division I. Going to be a tough test for them, but with players like Ben Seymour, I think they'll have a chance to rack up some wins for sure. Finally, it is scrimmage week this week in Southern California high school football. Remember, things really don't get going until August 16th and 17th, but this week we do have some scrimmages. Chaminade hosts Narbonne. I'm excited to see that game. I know Mayfair and St. John Bosco are playing. Venice against Cathedral. So this week, if you got a chance to check out a scrimmage, I highly recommend it. Really good window into what we're going to expect to see from teams this season. I know I'm excited for football. It's right around the corner. I cannot wait. Tommy, back to you.
Thank you, Connor. Now we'll send it over to Beverly Pham, who's at Servite with a brand new familiar face.
Thanks, Tommy. Trinity League football is heating up right now as summer camps are going on. I actually got the chance to visit Santa Margarita last week to see how they're preparing for the season. And today I'm actually at Servite with head coach Troy Thomas. And Coach Thomas is returning to Servite after previously coaching the Friars from 2005 to 2012 and leading them to 2 Southern Section Pac-5 championships, including a state title and 7 league titles. Coach, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you.
So first off, what is running through your mind? How does it feel to be back here at Servite?
Just so blessed to be back. I can't believe I'm back, but it's been a great opportunity to be a part of the community again.
How is the team gearing up for the season, and can you tell me about your strength training program?
They're working hard in the weight room. That's one way we do gear up for the season, but they're working hard on the field as well, and I think we're getting closer as a team, and we do it in all facets of our training, whether it be on the field, off the field, or in the weight room. We're trying to bring the team together. We're trying to bond these guys as a true brotherhood, and it starts with our senior leadership.
And how would you describe your coaching style, and what are some major takeaways that you want your players to take with them after leaving Servite?
I think I'm a loving coach, and I think love is tough sometimes, but most of the time, I'm a positive coach, and there's times where I got to tell guys the truth, and sometimes that can hurt a little bit, but I wouldn't call myself a disciplinarian. I do run a tight ship as far as what our standard and our expectation is. The thing I'd hope they'd take away is that they'd leave here, having had the opportunity to be a leader in our program and learn some lessons that will help them in their future as far as being a leader of, their families or a company or whatever they're going to do in the rest of their lives. I just hope that they come away a little bit better as men, and they've grown in their faith and in their character.
3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3. I believe.
So before coming back to Servite, you were at Crespi, your alma mater. What do you say is the difference between Catholic programs and other schools out there?
I think that the Catholic schools provide an opportunity to talk about our faith in everything that we do. And for me, that's very important, to be able to share my faith with these guys and for them to share it with me. And we can go to Mass together, and I just think that's such a big part of our lives in the Catholic schools. It's a great opportunity and something that I would really miss if I didn't get to coach at a Catholic school.
So I noticed that you were wearing a hoodie out there today. It's 95 degrees here in Anaheim. Why do you do that?
Well, I don't think it's that hot. I think it's actually kind of nice, so stay covered up. It's a little cool out there.
And I also heard that you invite the parents and the family and actually encourage them to come out and watch football practice. Can you tell me a little more about the brotherhood and the family that's Servite?
I think the most special part of Servite are the families that choose to send their boys here. And not to have them be a part of our program would be missing out on one of our strongest assets. And, I know that it's a short window for these families to be with their sons before they send them off to college, and I don't want them to miss anything. I want them to be a part of everything that they can be a part of, and they're a huge support to us, in our program.
And last of all, who do you think are some of the top players to watch out for this season?
We're still getting to know these guys. The senior class has some guys that will be recruited. I think there's a lot of guys that their name is going to get out there this year. I think they're growing, and I think we're a team, and eventually some of the guys will stand out. But right now, I think we're still learning who they are and what they're capable of.
Thank you so much for joining us again. Back to you, Tommy.
Out to Murrieta. It's Murrieta Valley. It's Jessica Lucera. Jessica, take it away.
I'm with Murrieta Valley's head coach, George Wilson, here now. Coach Wilson, you've been here 5 years officially. When you guys first came in 2014, you guys were 4-6. Now, as of last year, you were 9-3 and completely undefeated in a Southwestern League. Now, how much has this team really progressed since you first came in?
We were able to build a little bit of a winning culture here. We got third place my first year. My second year, we got second place in our league. And then the last 2 years, we've been able to win the league undefeated. So, yeah, the arc is there. And so the results kind of speak for themselves on that deal.
And now you guys are the top dog in the Southwestern League. Does that really add any sort of pressure to you or the players?
I don't think so. I think now that we've done it a couple years, we're used to it. We know that we get where we get through hard work and discipline. So I think the kids do a good job understanding that's the reason they've been successful. So it hasn't really hurt us.
And now in the Southwestern League, we were talking, you've pretty much become one of the vets of the league as far as head coaches. You know, you have Eric Peterson at Vista, it's his first year there. You also have Bert Esposito at TV. Now, how much is the Southwestern League changing, and what are you really expecting from it this year?
I think year in and year out, the league is very well coached. So all these guys coming in are good coaches, and we've had great coaching in this league. And you know, me and my staff, we always look forward to the challenges every year.
And on the 17th, you have that Santiago matchup coming up. What are you looking forward to the most about that game?
I think like anyone else, we want to start well. We want to start fast. Our speed of play and there's going to be mistakes. It's the first game, but we want to come out with some attitude and play hard and play fast. Those are kind of the main things we're looking for. We have a lot of guys that haven't played before, so it'll be our first opportunity to see what they're like in a real game.
Right, and speaking of which, you do have a lot of vets, but you do have a lot of new guys now. Who are some key players to really look out for this year?
It starts probably with our quarterback, who's committed to Boise State, Hank Bachmeyer. We have an offensive tackle, a highly recruited guy. He's our only returning lineman, so we're really leaning on him a lot. We have a young guy, a tight end, Jack Yari, that'll make some plays. He's already has multiple Pac-12 offers, so we're looking for big things out of him too.
Very stacked. And just one last question: what can we really expect from you guys this year? You know,
the last 2 years, we didn't come out before the season and say we're going to be undefeated league champions. All we said is that's our goal. Our goal is to win every game, and it's kind of basic, but it is what it is. That's how we look at it. Our goal is to win every game we play in. So
you start there and you go from there. Awesome. Thank you for your time, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. This is the part of the podcast where we normally do game predictions. There are no game predictions this week because there are no games. We won't predict scrimmages because they're scrimmages. But starting next week, Shotgun and I will be predicting the top games in the county that you've got to watch. So keep tabs with us all season long. We'll be keeping score to see who the winner is. We'll see y'all next week.